Back again from the ashes, we rise another week. Welcome back to the Black Phoenix Podcast. MC and TR right here kicking it with y'all. TR, what's good, man? How'd the week go?
Hey, it was a pretty good week for me. The Eagles didn't lose; they didn't win either. So I'll take that. I'll take that W. or
Yeah,
the
you
nod.
dumped on Hurts last week.
Hey, I didn't catch that Baker game. How did that go?
Oh man, Kirk Cousins put up 500 yards against that secondary. That's all I got.
Ooh,
That was all I got.
losing the
But
Cousins. Wow.
I'm glad I didn't get to watch the whole thing because we had our family vacation this week too. But man, I watched the highlights. That was a disaster.
Yeah,
Disaster.
yeah, definitely a disaster. But that's Baker for you, so not surprised.
Yeah. If Baker wasn't the problem, it was that secondary, but I digress.
Agreed. All right, everyone. We are going to be talking about LeBron James. He is trending right now. Apparently, he has some words with a small publication regarding his reason for going to the Lakers. All right, everyone. So what we're looking at is LeBron James's tweet, and for the most part, LeBron James hasn't been in the news for like any political reason, like he normally was, or anything like that was just kind of like just out of pocket. Because sometimes LeBron James likes to get involved with things that he just normally doesn't get involved with, and ever since the shut up and dribble gate, he's definitely been active. But this season, he really hasn't been. Although his son is on his team though, so that'll probably be some fun conversations this upcoming NBA season. Anything for you, MC?
The Lakers are going to disappoint everybody this year. That's what I got.
Really?
But LeBron is a great neutral fit setter personality.
Mhm.
And he jumps back and forth with it. Sometimes he gets political, then he'll draw it back. Sometimes he'll get pro-black, then he'll draw it back. And that's essentially what's happening here. But I'm not people who come to the Lakers, the conversation's always been come to the Lakers because we are the Lakers.
Sure.
That's basically the only reason. It's a superstar culture. All the celebrities that are there at the game is in the most expensive part of Los Angeles. And we all know LeBron went there because of, that Jeannie Buss knows how to treat celebrities. That's why Magic Johnson's
Mhm.
still friends with her to this day. That's why everybody who's of note who's ever played for her has much respect and admiration for her. Just like her father, Dr. Jerry Buss. Shameless plug, by the way. If you have not seen Winning Time on HBO about the Lakers, you should really watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. LeBron's James's his tenure as being a Laker. I mean, they won that championship during the bubble, which I know some people are gonna put an asterisk on it, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. And for LeBron James to accomplish something that no other Michael Jordan or even Kobe in accomplished by bringing their son into the onto his team, into the NBA, and then also onto his team. I mean, I think LeVar Ball was probably the closest to kind of will his sons into the NBA, and then LeBron James got his son in the NBA and drafted to the same team. So yeah, I know some people are going to say because he's LeBron James' sons, blah blah blah, but I mean, he still got it done though. So
That doesn't bother me. Look, I'm a father. You're a father. You're going to do whatever you can to put your kids in the best position to
mhm.
succeed. And if you got to flex, one thing about the NBA is a lot of these players have leverage. He just used it. I
Yeah,
don't have a problem with this. I do think he's doing him a disservice by not letting him play in the G League, but that's a different conversation. He's a father, and he used his power to put his son in a position to succeed. You'll never hear me knock that.
yeah,
That's why I respect LeVar Ball
yeah.
too.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna put I don't want to put this out there like something will happen, but I don't know what Savannah James. I mean, if Savannah ever had any problems, all LeBron James has to say, "Look, I got our firstborn into the NBA and onto my team." Like I don't know
Exactly.
what conversation or whatever argument, but that's the only card he needs. So, but let's get to the story that got LeBron in the news. So LeBron James tweeted at this news story, and it's by Legion of Hoops, and it discusses LeBron James joined the Lakers partly because of how they handle the final seasons of Kobe Bryant's career. And LeBron James's response was first he said, "Cap, I came to the Lakers because I wanted to help Jeannie win championships. bring that spark back to the Lakers, and see my family blossom in SoCal. Why would I make a decision on how someone else is treated? Mom always said, stay out of grown folks' business and, shrug shoulders. Now, with that said, and we don't even have to like look through the story. Like that's pretty much was a story of what they wrote about LeBron James. But honestly, I don't think LeBron needed to say anything about this because at the end of the day, he's a billionaire and he's probably have an ownership in one of these teams. He's in the record books. And like I said, for me, I was always a Michael Jordan fan I'm still a Michael Jordan fan. But when LeBron got his son into the league and on the same team, that just catapulted him. No other player, I don't think we'll ever see another player even having a type of leverage, this type of leverage ever again. So for LeBron James to come out and reply to this story that was just their story. They just wrote the story. I don't understand why he gave it more life.
Michael Jordan strikes me as the type of person who would want his son to play for the opposing team so he can light him up for 50 points and talk about it over Thanksgiving dinner. That's the type of person I picture Michael Jordan to be. And unfortunately, to be as successful as you are in the NBA, you kind of have to be a psychopath to a degree. And I think
Sure.
MJ was definitely a psychopath. Taking it back to the Lakers, though, I'm operating under the assumption that every player wants to win while getting paid. Now, sometimes you trade one off for the other, but let's be honest. Kobe Bryant's final game with the Lakers, they let him shoot the ball 50 times. That is VIP treatment. That is going out on your terms, the way you want to go. And LeBron saw that and he wanted some of that action. And I'm pretty sure the Lakers have access to a bunch of other secondary streams of income that LeBron is getting out of sight of his NBA contract that other teams don't have. I kind of view them as like the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. And all of that stuff matters. Of course, he wants to win, but that team's not going to win. They got to get past Minnesota. They got to get past Denver. Man, even Sacramento is coming up. Like the West is going to be a beast. Just you want to go out on your terms. You won your rings, even though one has an asterisk. Actually, in my opinion, all of them have an asterisk. Like that super team is a
Wow.
different
Yeah.
conversation.
I'm not a LeBron James fans. I'm not going to defend it, but I don't know if I'd say that.
Look, he's still sitting at the table with the GOATs. He's just not sitting at the head of the table like a lot of these younger folks think. Nah, I'm not right with that.
Yeah. What do you think about LeBron just giving this life? Like we've seen LeBron get active in the social justice and things like that. But this doesn't even have anything to do with social justice. Or honestly, if you think about it, he hasn't even been active on his social media platforms or anywhere else when it comes to social justice, which is what he was pretty much known for his off the court conversations, which I was like, athletes need to get out of this conversation because they don't know where the line is and they don't know when to stop.
Yeah, I don't know why he jumped into this conversation. There was nothing to be gained from it. There was only something to lose. I mean, we gained something because we got a topic to talk about, but
Mhm.
it had no benefit for him to do it. I don't know what he saw. Just Kevin Durant does stuff like this too, except
Yeah.
he'll create a troll account and do it from his troll account.
Mm.
But there was no reason to. Like, just sit back, count your money, try to get another ring, and hopefully coach your son. Because I saw how I saw his shooting percentage from that game, and it was abysmal. Uh, man, that was tough. But he'll be all right though. He'll figure something out.
Yeah. I hope his I mean at the end of the day, I still want his son. I mean, I want a lot of players to do well in the league, or at least get your 2 years, 2, 3 years in, especially if you're in the first round and you're in the top five. I mean, you've definitely got to be actually Bronny was in the top five. I think he was like what the 50th pick or something. Or I mean, he wasn't the top pick, but still at the end of the day, you want players to be successful as long as they can be. But I mean, if you're taking somebody's seat, I mean, that's going to look really bad though. But at the end of the day, it is what it is because Jeannie made the call, and I don't know, this could come back to haunt them down the road because of that draft pick.
Question: what happens to Bronny after LeBron retires? Is he
Cut,
still there?
cut.
He's out of there.
Yeah, he's out of there. He's cut. Yeah.
Uh, That's cold blooded, man. That basically just means that they egging LeBron on and trying to get him like another year or two out of him and using his son to do it.
Yeah.
They wasted a pick. They could have got him in a later round.
But you know what, though? Now that I think about it, now that I've had some time to really think about it, LeBron, I mean, not LeBron, but the Lakers, they're treating LeBron way better than Kobe because even though they gave Kobe a bag at the end of his career, and it was, owed or earned, I should say, earned, picking, I don't know what team or what owner would be like, hey, you're my franchise player. And you're going to draft my son, who is barely G League, and they went along with it. I don't know anyone else that would do that.
You say that the Lakers are treating LeBron better than they treated Kobe. They could have parted ways with him when all that Colorado stuff jumped off. They stood by him. They held him down. I think that right there supersedes.
I don't think they would have.
I think Kobe got a way better treatment.
Because was there a precedent set where someone had some, extramarital affairs?
I mean, obviously, there's moral objections to that, but it doesn't violate anything NBA wise. The consent part was what the issue was. That could have been a career ender, and they stuck by him. And I'm sure there were tons of people that were on his neck during that time. That's an interesting question, though. In my eyes, I think Kobe got the better treatment, but and he deserved it. He was more accomplished.
Remember, this was a different owner. Now this is Genie.
Yeah, the brother was I forget the brother's name, but he was the one everybody viewed as incompetent. But regardless, the Lakers have a reputation for treating their stars like royalty, and that's why he was there. I mean, all that winning talk sounds great to a Laker fan, and I am not a Laker fan. I hate the Lakers. I love to see them lose. But if you're a Lakers fan, you want to hear your best player talk about they want to win, but they're not going to win.
Nope. And it's possible that LeBron or Bronny can, take his game to the next level, but I don't see it happening. As soon as LeBron is out the league in 2 years, it's a wrap. So,
I see Bronny as being a Tony Delk / Rick Fox type of player. He can probably have a solid career. He's not going to be a scorer. He's going to be a defensive specialist that's going to come in and get you a couple of good stops, maybe a steal or two. He might be able to get his scoring up and get you maybe 15 a game, but he can have a respectable career. But it sucks that he has his dad's name and expectations, but he's not going to be that. He's got to figure it out for him. I think he's going to be like that Tony Delk, Rick Fox hybrid I just talked about.
Yeah. All right. We are going to, speaking of Lakers, we're going to be talking about another Laker.
So Flint, today I ask, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America?
Just a quick observation. Sure, a lot of white people at this rally for Kamala. Just observation.
Yeah.
Oh.
And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, win. God bless.
And what an outstanding cause to elect my friend Kamala Harris, President of the United States. I'm here because I've known Kamala for over 20 years. Cookie and I supported her run for Attorney General back in the state of California, her run for senator, and now we support her as a VP, but now the biggest moment for all of us.
Hey, did you know that he was supporting Kamala way back then? Did you know that?
No, but you know who else has known Kamala for more than 20 years? Jamal Truelove.
Yeah,
This is an insult. Look, nobody nobody with a brain cares what celebrities think about presidential candidates.
True.
Was there any talk about policy there? She said, do you believe in democracy and freedom? Yes, I do. But the only freedom she's talking about is body autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
which essentially is a segue to deletion. That's the freedom she's talking about. She's running on a single issue campaign. I do think we're going to see more and more Black men step up and speak for her over the days, because I think they're finally starting to understand that they're in an interesting space with Black men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they plan to attack that, because a lot of us aren't falling for the emotional arguments anymore.
Right.
So good luck. I don't know how it's going to work out.
No, November the 5th, we have to do all we can to elect Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. She wants to build up the middle class, and I know something about the middle class because I come from a middle class family. My father worked 30
That sounds
years
familiar.
for
Right.
Fisher Body. When I turned pro, I thought that was going to be the greatest moment in my father's life, but it wasn't. The greatest moment in his life came when he finally owned his own home. What does Kamala Harris wants to do as president? Put millions of Americans in their own home, give them $25,000 to start them off to be homeowners.
Let me pause real quick on that. That it amazes me how many people are falling for that $25,000. It's like, what do you think is going to happen to the market when you give that? First of all, what a lot of people are not, or campaign strategy team, and maybe they have been pointing this out, though I just haven't seen it as often. They really hit on that $25,000, and it's not really it's for first generation Americans, okay? And for most people that I know, they
Wait,
have.
is it first generation or first time buyers?
I thought it was first generation.
You might be right, but either
Yeah.
way, I have a problem with either answer is going to be a problem for me.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes. So it's weird that they're pushing this message out there, and like I said, I've seen other people talk about it. I really wish the Trump campaign would really hammer it, though, because that's going to crush the market. That's just going to drive up home prices. And then if it comes out to being first generation, that is a huge problem, because that means you're allowing people that are not that were not born in the United States to be able to get the $25,000 just off rip. So that makes no sense to me why they would be pushing this $25,000. And then also, this is the other thing too. And I don't own a home currently. But I know you do, and I have a few other friends that own homes too. And from what I've been hearing, owning a home can be a nightmare. And we're just
Yep.
talking about just the upkeep for stuff like that.
So here's why encouraging people to buy homes without the proper training and support is financial suicide.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hard lessons that this is my second home. The first home that we bought, I got lucky because it was relatively new. But when you buy a home that's older, it has more wear and tear on it, there's going to be more maintenance.
Yeah.
And they tell you with a car to keep 1% of the value of your car in savings for when stuff goes wrong. Well, you need to multiply that by at least 10 if you're going to be a homeowner. People don't think about all the things that can go wrong with a house. I'm not talking about your walls crashing or caving in. I'm talking about a water heater that needs to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Or the fact that you don't even know that it needs to be drained once a year so that the salt and all the other stuff doesn't build up in there and cause things to slow up. I'm talking about windows. Windows are very expensive to switch out. Light fixtures, you have to have some type of skill set with painting and repairing wall cracks in walls.
Right.
depending on what part of the country you live in, you have to invest on keeping things from getting. I live in Arizona. Scorpions are here. You have to learn how to keep scorpions out of your house. Like there's a lot of intangible things that you need to learn to keep your house. And don't even get me started on the requirements that an HOA will place on you if you move into an HOA. So I say all that to say it sounds good to give somebody that much money to buy a house, but if you're not training them on how to maintain a house, you're not even telling them about home warranty options. You're pretty much setting them up to fail. But honestly, if the housing market crashes, that's just going to be an opportunity for me to buy again. So
Hey, for real.
that's a selfish statement, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, but essentially that's what it's going to turn into. It's just going to crash the market. And I know people that have had homes and they've had difficulty maintaining their homes, like especially the water heater or the roof. And maybe you can survive one time, but not multiple times if you have some roof damage or your property is being eroded because you have like a pond or a lake or something that's just eating into your property line or something like that. And not to mention your neighbors could be terrible too. But again, people today are not equipped to have like a home, and there's no boot class or anything like that. I mean, I know sometimes you got to go through that, but you're going to end up losing your home if you want to find out the hard way. And giving people $25,000, that's just going to drive the market up. And again, where are you going to get the $25,000 from middle? It's going to be the middle class that has to pay for it, not the higher, not the upper class, and the low income class. It's going to be middle class having to pay for people making bad choices like their student loans.
Another critical decision you have to make when you buy a house is you have to consider if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. So in essence, what she wants to do is increase demand. If demand is increased, guess what? That means it's a seller's market. And that means as a seller, I can mark up the price of my home however much I see fit. Because now instead of one person trying to buy my house, there's 4 people fighting for it because they all got this credit. Now, I'm not the type of person that likes to complain without some type of resolution. So let me say this. If you really want to fix the housing crisis right now, the very first thing you need to do is limit foreign entities from buying homes. When I was searching for a house 2 years ago, I was always being outbid by some conglomerate that was either from India or China. We also have a problem right now where there's a bunch of Californians migrating into AZ, and you can sell a 3-bedroom home in California for damn near 800K to $1 million. You can flip that, come here and buy a bigger house for less the price. So now there's extra demand coming domestically too. So now you're competing with foreign and domestic threats to the people that actually live here now. So this doesn't help. What you need to do is create competition for houses, not create the demand. Because if you create the competition, the people who are selling houses, maybe incentivize people to fix up their houses and sell them. That will kind of even the playing field because now the sellers are going to put this work into these houses and then they're going to want to sell it and get something back for what they put into it.
Right.
She's looking at the demand side. I'm telling her she should look at the supply side.
Yep, facts.
That's very important. Then she wants to also have more small business owners. And she's going to help them out by giving them $50,000 for startup new small business owners, tax deduction. She's smart. She's strong. She's passionate. Nobody's going to outwork her.
Okay, I want to stop right there. This $50,000 as a tax credit, that's not going to mean a damn thing if she gets rid of the Trump tax cuts. That's the conversation that the Democrats refuse to have because those Trump tax cuts are expected to expire. I want to say next year or it's either next year or 2026. And they haven't said if they're going to extend those Trump tax cuts because those tax cuts are the ones that's lowering the income tax for Americans. Americans, not for the folks that are getting paid on the table. And so just saying you're going to give everyone like $50,000, again, where's that money going to come from? And then who's going to qualify for stuff like that? Because you can't be like, Like what I've seen when people get like a influx in money, especially with the American Rescue Act, from what I saw people were doing with that money, they were opening up T-shirt shops. They were opening up like poetry pubs. Like no one was doing anything meaningful with that money. And a lot of times, if they open up like a restaurant, those restaurants they fold within 1 year, and if they survive that, they're definitely gonna fold within 5 years. So for her to just to give this $50,000 out without like any type of plan and see what type of qualifications, you can't just get. If that was the case, then everyone in America should be getting that $50,000 tax credit and opening up a business, but we know that's not what's going to happen. Like the red lines, the red tape behind that.
Yeah. So two things come to mind immediately. I think of the PPP loans program
Oh
and
yeah,
how much that was abused and how much the IRS had to go back and rectify that. That's number one. That which kind of ties into my day job because I specifically dealt with if we get a lead from a government entity, and they contact a merchant's bank and say, "Hey, we believe this merchant may be abusing PPP loans. Can you put a hold on some of their funds?" I'm that guy that's typically doing that. The other point I was going to make, I'm pro small business. I don't want any monopolies. I want as many small businesses as possible. I believe they have better relationships with the communities that they serve to give them what they want and need.
right.
But I'm wondering what the criteria is to get this 50,000 credit. Is it strictly for startups? Because if it is, that's dangerous because you know how many startups fail. And
Yeah.
what's to stop somebody who failed the first time to come back and do it again? I'm sure there's stipulation on how many times you can claim the credit. If it's for current small to medium businesses that need it and are struggling and have been around for a while and have shown that they can sustain and operate, I'd be more in support of that. But I always, anytime somebody recommends a new tax cut or a new expenditure, the first thing that pops in my mind is how you gonna pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
We always seem to have this war money that no one knows where it's coming from, but how are you going to pay for this? Um, Maybe you could legalize weed and tax it like you do alcohol at the federal level. I don't know. I'm curious how you gonna pay for it though.
Yeah. And that's a conversation that I feel like everyone should be asking, especially when we send all this money to Ukraine and over to Israel. Like, that's a conversation that everyone should be like, hey, how are you guys paying for all this? Oh, we have to pay for it. The same people, how they're going to pay for it are going to be the same people paying for the student loans. Okay. That's what people don't realize when they're asking for these student loan forgiveness loans or whatever, which I'm glad Supreme Court just I think Biden recently, Biden, he's still kind of working, and he tried to recently push the student loan forgiveness back through, but it was kicked back or blocked by the Supreme Court. But again, we shouldn't have to, as middle class Americans, we shouldn't have to pay for stuff like that. I'm not. I don't. There's no reason why my money is be going to like the Ukraine, Israel, and that's kind of like the whole the America first or country first movement that's been happening, which a lot of people on the Republican side are not on board with that because we have seen people just promoting the war in Ukraine and also promoting the war in Israel. And so that's not America. That's not the America that we want. We want to be taking care of Americans first. And we saw firsthand what's going on in South Carolina, Florida, where we have the FEMA has run out of money or they've misappropriated money is what I think they did or laundered money. And they don't have any money to take care of the citizens down there. They're actually denying claims because people make too much money and they do not qualify, but they're not upper class. They're just middle class Americans. And so I know they're trying to fix that. But again, this is all you have to do. And so it goes back to like, how is the government going to run this? How are they going to organize it? And what makes you think that the government can run this program?
I know enough about the government to know damn near everything they put their hands in generally doesn't work out.
Hmm.
Um, outside of military actions, I'll excuse military actions from the conversation, but I think I don't want to. I guess this is why I'm anti-socialism, and most of the socialists that I know will tell me that I've never seen, we've never seen socialism properly enacted. That's their biggest argument.
Yeah.
But what I do know is the people that I do know that live here that came from socialist countries are the most conservative people I know because they know that it's a problem too. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't know, man. Like government can't fix everything. And this goes back to student loans. Look, I have student loans. I benefited from Biden and Kamala's fight to for student loan forgiveness. But here's the thing though, and I realized this in my 30s, and I'm glad I know it now. 95% of the problems I have in my life, including student loans, are because of a bad decision that I made. I
Mhm.
can't blame anybody else for this. I mean, my degrees are in finance, and my MBA has a finance concentration. Those are okay degrees to get if you go into the right part of finance. But there's a lot of people out here that are, studying stuff that they know is not going to have any tangible benefit
Hard degree.
at the end. It's almost like going to college is just a checklist thing at this point. Um, I never knew that I could have went to a community college, paid way less money, and then flipped it to go to a four-year university. Like over time, if people keep the lessons and their losses and pass them on to their kids, this will fix themselves. Because
Mhm.
one thing I know for sure is I will not let my daughter ever carry student loan debt. We're gonna find a way to get you where you need to be without carrying student loan debt. If I gotta pay for it, if I scholarships, all that stuff. So there's an accountability piece here too. I felt bad for people who don't have mentorship and guidance to navigate this college stuff,
Mhm.
but honestly, man, it's here. It's not going anywhere. So I don't think it's going away. I think it's always going to be remain in the course. It's always going to be these back and forths, and I can't see a scenario where there's massive student loan forgiveness, particularly when the majority of the population doesn't even go to college. You're only talking
Yes.
about a small segment of people.
She's committed to you as the people of the United States, the people of Michigan. She's committed to you. She's going to be a president for everybody. And the one thing she's going to do is finally unite us, bring us together. That other party is trying to tear us down. And I got to say this because I'm back home. First of all, let me congratulate your Tigers. I grew up a Tiger fan. So I'm hoping that your Tigers beat my Dodgers for the World Series, okay?
Wasn't the only part of the Dodgers talking
But
about
we
he
have
hoped they lose?
32 days. That sounds.
What's that?
Doesn't he own part of the Dodgers talking about he hopes they lose?
Um,
I want to say he owns a part of the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers. He's a minority owner.
he
He
might.
just said he hopes they lose to the Detroit Tigers.
Is he?
I want to say he is. Let me.
Hey,
I would confirm.
we'll do it live.
Yeah.
Shout out CGA.
Wow, that's crazy. I understand why. While I'm
You're right.
looking this up,
Yep.
I understand why Magic Johnson has the gift of gab. Like seriously, man, a lot of people who deal with him say he can talk himself into any situation. So that's probably why she tapped into him here. And I've been hearing for weeks now that the Dems have essentially conceded trying to win like Arizona and Florida, and they're going after Michigan and North Carolina and I
Yeah.
believe Pennsylvania. But yes, this is the big guns. But in my opinion, if you're going to go to Michigan and win them over, you're going to have to explain the impacts that NAFTA had on them and how you're going to bring some of those jobs back in there. Because when you think of Michigan, you think of Ford, you think of manufacturing these cars and everything. And a lot of people made a very decent living doing that, and it's gone now for the most part. There's still some of it, but
Mhm.
I think they moved some of the plants to Mexico. So that might be the more relevant conversation. I'm sick of the fear tactics. They keep talking about the Republicans want to tear this country apart. Look, this is a country that prides itself on being a melting pot. You're never going to have full unity. You're just not. There's too many different groups of people and ideologies. what you can have is a group of people that can coexist with each other and try to problem solve. But just this us versus them thing, it don't work no more, man. Just talk to me about what you want to do.
Right. Yeah. And the thing with the tariffs, well, with the plans in Mexico, and that's why Trump wants to have this conversation with the tariffs. He says he's going to do like 200% or something like that, and that's more of a negotiation tactic. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, he's going to make it go crazy." Well, the tariffs that he enacted now, they're working on China, and they're working so good that the Biden administration didn't even remove them. Matter of fact, they added to those tariffs. So Trump was on to something. He knew something was right, but now everyone wants to be an economic scholar now and everything. So at the end of the day, that's just the part of the Democratic plan is, or part of their script is to try to use these fear tactics, especially when it comes like these manufacturing and fracking in Pennsylvania. So they are wise to focus on those major swing states because she can't lose Michigan and she can't lose she cannot lose either of those states. So it's definitely going to be a very thin margin on whoever takes those two states. But if she loses one of those states, it's over. It's a wrap. That thing is over before 6 o'clock.
Man, I think this is going to come down to the wire. I really do. I think there's a bunch of people shifting sides that we haven't even accounted for yet. I really do. The most notable thing I think we're going to see, I think we're going to see a record number of Black folks that vote red. I really do. I mean, Trump took 10% of the Black vote last time. I've seen some polls that say that he's going to probably take between 15 and 20 this time. If he takes 20% of the Black vote, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And I think here's one thing that I do think is going to be an after effect of Trump. I think we're finally going to come to a place in this country where you can't assume how someone is going to vote based on how they look, because I'm already starting to see all of that happen now. I don't think the Dems were prepared for the pushback they were getting from their own voters on the Israel-Palestine conflict. I think that's an issue where people just kind of knew what was happening and didn't really defend either side before. I guess the Republicans have always been kind of pro-Israel, but
Well, they're both pro-Israel, both parties actually.
and see, that's what I always thought. But now all of a sudden, your constituents are saying, "No, we're not pro-Israel. We're pro-Palestine." I see all these college students. Man, I was just at ASU a couple weeks ago. I saw so many students carrying around a Free Palestine, two-state solution shirts and mugs. I don't think they were ready for this, man. And that goes back to my original point. Politics are shifting in this country. You're not going to be able to tell how somebody's voting by how they look anymore. You're going to have to ask some questions and have some conversations like it should be.
Well,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
There's only one group that they can always count on to vote for them.
we know that Black women are the most loyal voters, but I'm telling you, man, I think that's going to change pretty soon. I really think everybody's going to have to reevaluate how they want to vote going forward.
I will grant you this. It is changing. So starting the shift is stronger with Black men. And they can't lose. Like, see, Trump, he could probably lose votes. Or, I mean, Trump has a strong base. And the people that are voting for Trump, they're voting for Trump. Okay. And you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, they're voting for Trump. People are voting in spite, and on the Democrat side, they're voting in spite of Trump. Okay. And there's not that many of those people out there that can swing, they're going to be able to swing the vote. And so now you have Black men that are starting to see that, hey, y'all ain't anything. Y'all just tell us a bunch of lies. Like, a lot of Black men are waking up to see that the Democrat Party are just using the Black community for whatever agenda that they need to get passed, or whatever when it's voting, especially voting season. They use the Black community. They just say, like, they're gonna put you back in chains. I mean, shout out to Joe Biden, or you ain't Black, and if you're not Black if you don't vote for me. Like, shout out to Joe Biden again. So again, these are the folks that have.
Hey, he grew up in a middle class family.
yeah, that middle class family seems to be floating around here a lot. But yeah, so yeah, that's the Kamala Harris. At the end of the day, she's going to have to work a lot harder to get the vote of Black men. And when we get here, we're going to have a lot to talk about that. So,
yeah, I think I think this might be something you may disagree with me with, but I don't think the Republicans have reached their full potential until the MAGA wave is done.
No, I think. All right. So, all right, we're going to pivot real quick. So, the way that the MAGA is okay. So with Trump, I know a lot of people think Trump is a conservative or Republican. He really isn't
I
because
think he's a social liberal. I do. Socially, he's a liberal.
Yeah.
And I would argue he's a moderate overall, but on social issues, he doesn't care about gay marriage. He doesn't care about self-deletion. He's already said that's why he want to get rid of Roe versus Wade. Let the states decide on their own. He
Yeah.
don't care about that stuff. Mike Pence is a traditional, old school, social, and everything else conservative.
And that's why
Trump
he's
was
gone.
not that.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reason you would think people would embrace that type of ideology because Trump, I mean, he's pretty much like he's going to put everyone in the best position to be successful, and he doesn't want to do handouts, even though he did handouts. And I hate when they do handouts though, because first of all, where does it stop? And for a lot of people, like they want more and more handouts, and that doesn't propel the country forward. You need people working. You need jobs back into manufacturing jobs back in America, and you don't need like international wars going on, because that's never going to help the economy grow further, because we're just sending more billions and billions of money over to these other countries when it should be going to tax-paying Americans. And also then you have the migrant issue. So that's why I can't say if he's a social liberal, because they're all on board on the illegal immigration. So, you can probably you can give them a couple different names, or, I mean, party affiliations. But for ideologies, though, I would say he's definitely moderate and more moderate conservative is probably, I would say, because from the things he's been doing. But when it comes to like the Republican Party, we're seeing a new Republican Party. So maybe to your point, though, we haven't seen the Republican Party go to the next level yet. But after this election, because Trump won't be running again, especially if he wins, he will not be running again. And then Kamala, they're not going to put Kamala back on the ticket if she loses. She's done after this.
I don't think they wanted her on there now, but again, they knew that Black women were their most loyal voters. And there was probably some type of pressure, because when Joe Biden won, the very first thing he said was he was going to put as many Black women in positions of power as possible.
Did you say Black women or Black men? I forget which one he's trying to help.
Women.
Okay,
women. They've never ever mentioned Black men specifically, unless it was a connotation to Black women. But I get it. And here's why I'll give Black women credit. They had political power and they flexed it. I just don't think that they're worried about the right things. That's always been my argument. But they had power, they flexed it, they got results. In my opinion, you didn't get anything for it, but you got results.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna jump to the part where Magic was talking, or talking about the Black men. So this should be it. I thought it was coming up closer, but it took longer than I thought it would. So this will be it.
Until November 5th. Now, we can't take anything for granted. You've been working hard, but we need to work harder. We got to call people. We got to knock on doors after and before church. Not during church, but after and before church. We got to rally people, talk to them. Now, there's a lot of Black men in here, and I don't mean to, not talk to other people, but this is important. Our Black men, we got to get them out to vote. That's number one.
No, I'm gonna let him take this. I'm gonna let him get this, and then we're gonna get into it.
Kamala's opponent promised a lot of things last time to the Black community that he did not deliver on. And we got to make sure we help Black men understand that. So that's why I'm here, to make sure I help Black men understand. First, get out and vote, and then vote for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. She's for women's rights to make their own decision with their body. We got to clap for that.
All right. We are done with that part.
Let me tell you what my
Go ahead.
Here's my frustration with the deletion conversation. 1 minute it's you don't have a uterus, you're not qualified to talk about this. So basically, in the nicest way possible, they telling us to STFU, right? So I kind of had this conversation with a small group of Black women not too long ago because I was asked my thoughts on deletion and quote unquote being pro-choice. And my comment exactly were, I don't have a uterus, so I'm not talking about this. And they in unison told me that answer is not good enough.
Shit.
So the only conclusion I can draw from that is we want you to vote how we want you to vote. We want to tell you how to vote, and we need for you to get in line. But here's the problem that the Dems aren't seeing. And this, I really didn't want to make this racial, but I'm going to make this racial. There's been this rift between Black men and Black women that's been getting wider year after year. And we need to deal with that first, because what's happening right now is the Dems are leaning on the Black women to inspire and encourage the Black men. Well, we haven't even had the conversation of how we can get back on common ground yet. That's the elephant in the room that you got to deal with first. And honestly, most of the married Black people that I know are somewhat conservative.
Yeah.
So there's some layers here that need to. I'm gonna save the rest of my comment here when we talk about another topic, but the Dems can't keep leaning on Black women and making them carry the burden of the Black community. The Black community's got to fix some stuff first. Then we got to agree on something that's tangible and come back and demand what we can demand. But no, this ain't the way to do it. And I'll end on this and I'll give it back to you. I've been seeing a lot of what I call pre-blaming in social media spaces and on other podcasts and on news stations. And when I say pre-blaming, they're doing passive aggressive shots and saying if Kamala doesn't win this election, we are going to blame Black men for it. And there are a lot of Black men who are holding firm and they know what they want. They're expecting certain answers and they're not getting them. You're not going to scare people anymore. Nobody is scared anymore. Yes, I understand people don't trust Trump and the Black community fully. It's getting better, but they don't. But they're not scared anymore. Because the fact of the matter is, whoever's in office, we still have the same problems economically. We still have the same problems with education. And we still have problems trusting law enforcement. And that's no matter who's in office. So I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, just real quick. And this is something that when you talk about the baby deletions, the one thing that Democrats never bring up or they try to dance around is that when do you need, or how far into the pregnancy can a woman request an abort or baby deletion? Okay. How far along? Because we're not talking about, we're going to throw out the mother's health and the very small percentage things that occur. We're going to throw those out because those are very small percentages. And when it comes to the mother's health, I get it. Tim Walz' state, he signed a bill that allows baby deletion up until the 9th month. And so when people were like,
he denied that during the debate, though.
Oh, yeah. He's still denying. The Democrats are all still denying. But all you have to do is just go look the bill up that he signed. Because essentially what that bill does, or what it says, or they're cute with the word. And it amazes me how people just don't know how to like read through the lines or read between the lines of what they're asking or what they're saying. Where they say if there's a botched baby deletion, what the doctors can do is they're expected to give the situation, the baby, they're expected to give it care. That doesn't mean save the life. It just means give them care. That's probably like putting a blanket on them and just waiting until it expires. And so, yeah, this is why men have to be involved in these conversations, though, because that is a horrible thing to do to a baby that's just born and you already tried to delete it and it survives. Like, this is why we have to get involved. This is why men have to have this conversation. And they got all butthurt about the cat lady's comment. Like, if I don't have any kids, I don't get to vote. Well, I can't have kids, but I'm gonna have a say. I'm gonna have a say so because this is ridiculous. And if you don't want to acknowledge, like, and this is more extreme than Roe versus Wade. You know the crazy thing, when they got rid of Roe v. Wade, that actually helped the Democrats in their extreme positions because Tim Walz's, and it's not just Minnesota, there's other states. These other states came up with more extreme policies to protect abortion or baby deletion. Jeez, I gotta fix that. All right, we'll fix an edit. The point is, they created more extreme policies to baby delete. Okay, and so that's where that 9th month is coming up. And so who knows what all these others, I mean, all the other states have something similar. And from what I read, it was about 9 states that have something similar to what Minnesota has. So as much as they talk about they hate Roe v. Wade, it helped those states out, craft those policies. So for every extreme red state that has a baby delete policy, there's an extreme blue state that has a extreme baby delete policy.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. And I'll definitely look into that. I just know that JD Vance brought it up during the debate, and he definitely passionately denied that that was the case. But yeah, either way, man, like I'll go back to my original statement when it comes to deletion. If you got pregnant without consent, I am 100% with you. Or if your life was in danger and you had to do it, hey, I'm rocking with you on that. I'm more so aiming my criticisms as, let me put it to you like this. I'm familiar with the woman who faked a pregnancy, uh, asked for the money for deletion, and took that money and went shopping. And I'm familiar with more than one example of that. And I'm sure multiple others are too. I say all that to say, if you're using this as a method of birth control, no.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about getting taxpayers involved, I'm going to vote against that every single time. And you can hate me for it until the end of time.
Facts. Well, and so let's get back to Magic Johnson. And this is why Magic Johnson is definitely trending. Magic Johnson had the audacity to say what he said about black men, how black men need to be told how to vote. He is in a crowd full of majority white people telling black men or telling white people and black women and the black men that were there, telling them that black men aren't smart enough to know who to or how to register to vote, and then also who to vote for. And this is Magic Johnson. Look, gifted on the court and phenomenal basketball player, but you know what? Lousy husband, lousy father. And I'm going to put that out there. And I know some people are going to feel some type of way. Look, your son he switched. So he's lucky I didn't pull this picture up, or I will pull the picture up. Maybe I'll do an editing, but he ain't about to talk about black man. And you know who he cheated on? His loving wife, Cookie. His last time I checked, his wife was black. So I don't want to hear anything talking about how black men this, black men that, because you, sir, are not a or who you represent for the community. I know he's done a lot of stuff for the black community. I know he's been active in the black community, but at the end of the day, he doesn't.
Hold on, since we're being messy, let me add a little bit more to the mess you just made.
Sure, that's not a mess. I'm just telling stories.
Allegedly, and this is because I watched the documentary / TV show. His oldest child is by his wife's best friend. So,
hey, that's not confirmed. That's not confirmed.
I'm not. Look, I'm just telling. Sue HBO. Don't sue me because I watch them every time, and that's what HBO said. It go after Time Warner.
HBO said it.
This is how I know they don't want to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
We've already established that Kamala will not go to places that aren't friendly. Because if she was really serious about courting a black male vote, she would go sit in a room full of black men who are undecided and conservative and ask them, what's your problem with me? Let's have a conversation.
Oh, yes.
But that requires leadership. I don't know. No. Has anybody in that party ever asked the question, why are they thinking about leaving instead of just blaming it on misogyny? Has anybody ever asked that question? Why? Because I can give you the whys. Let's start in Texas. Texas, which is a red state, caps child support because they realize that it's extortion for a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
Florida got rid of alimony for the rest of your life. They got rid of it because that is unfair. Florida also got rid of, and I know this is a more recent thing, so I got to study more details of it. The way divorce works, like no fault. So that's going to be a deeper legal conversation that needs to happen. And I know at some point lead attorney is going to talk about this. Shout out to the league, but they're and I kind of wanted to save this for a later topic, but one of the things that they're doing to win the men over in general is they're making things more fair for when men interact with women.
Mm-hmm.
Because you wanted this independence, you wanted to work, you collectively had decided you don't want to do the housewife thing anymore. Okay, fine, that's your choice. But now we're in a space where we're competing with each other.
Yes.
So you got to get the same smoke that I got.
Yeah.
Let's take care of the kid, but you got to figure out your own way to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Republicans are starting to do, and it's only going to keep happening. The red wants to make some of these family laws more fair.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of many reasons why they're winning over some of these black men. The second one is, I said this our last episode, I'm not particularly happy about the way masculinity is being displayed right now in the Democratic Party.
Oh man, I didn't even get that part. Yeah, facts.
And if you want to hear me expand on that, go back and watch the last episode. But a lot of men are seeing this and like, I don't have a voice here, so why am I here?
Yes.
And I would argue that more black men are going independent, not Republican, but they're going to assume what they want, and they're going to blame it on toxic masculinity like they always do.
Yeah, and getting into Magic, that's a very good point about the whole masculinity thing, because Magic is probably seen as a very astute businessman, and also charismatic. I mean, everybody loves to talk to Magic. He didn't do so well when he was GMing or whatever his role was with the Lakers when he, drafted Lonzo Ball, which again, LeVar Ball got him into NBA. So, but it got him to NBA and to the team that he was supposed to be. And Magic drank the Kool-Aid on that, so that's on Magic. So he definitely went ahead and greenlit that. But Magic. I mean, he can't. When it comes out, whenever these election cycles, we've seen it 2016, 2020, and here it is again. I don't know when black men are going to wake up and see that your vote has way more power than what people are always trying to tell you, like black men are not smart enough to know how to register. Yes, we know how to register. I don't know one single black man that does not know how to register. And when they talk about registration, they never talk about black women registering. They're always talking about black men do not know how to register. Like, that just tells you how they feel, how society itself feels about black men. And we know
insulting our intelligence.
Yeah, it's a big insult. And this is the party that they want black men to go on and say, hey, this is the party that represents me. They don't represent you. And we saw with Joe Biden. What did he do when it came to like a VP? He said it out loud. Joe Biden, and as a president or as a nominee, you can pick whoever you want. He said it out loud. I'm going to pick a woman of color. Well, he got the color right because, Kamala's Indian. So there's that. And then also he said he was going to pick a black Supreme Court justice. That's how he said woman of color and then a black woman for a Supreme Court justice. Like, How does that work? How do you square that? And so Ketanji Brown, who doesn't know what a woman is, but he picked Ketanji Brown. So again, black men. Who is this party for? Is the Democrat Party for you, or is this the Republican Party for you, or go independent? But at the end of the day, you got to look at what party has your best interests today and then 10 years from now. Because what I've been seeing is that this party has been turned into a matriarchy, and they're out there saying Kamala Harris's husband, Doug. That is he is a model of masculinity in the Democratic Party. What they won't tell you is Doug knocked up the nanny and smacked his ex up. They won't have that conversation, but that's a model of masculinity. So black men, again, this is the thing. it's not just Magic. They're going to get more black men talking down to you, more black celebrity men. Again, this is Magic, and I don't know what his bedroom life is like nowadays since he was he was diagnosed with HIV or whatever, which nobody talks about anymore. But Magic is not the man that people are going to aspire to want to be like. How the family life that they're not.
I mean, on the court, I want to be like him, but not off.
Yeah,
give me the skill set on the court.
Exactly. Off the court, they're not saying, "Hey, I want to be like Magic." No one is saying that. They on the court, yes. Off the court, no.
I'm sick of celebrities, period. Especially in politics. There's only one celebrity I want to hear from, and that's because I know he took the time and did the research and he prepared a plan, and that's Ice Cube. And I know for a fact that Ice Cube consulted with the legendary Dr. Claude Anderson on his plan, and it is a very solid plan. If you haven't read it, please do, because all these people, all these celebrity talking faces are just talking, while Ice Cube has quietly put together a plan and gotten results. We forget he got that $100 million agreement with the NFL for black vendors to print off their merchandise.
Yes,
that's results.
That was in
I don't want to hear all this other feel-good legislative talk. Y'all turned y'all backs on Ice Cube because he went and met with Trump. Biden and Kamala promised to meet with him to discuss his plan. Have they done it yet? Is he complaining about it? No, he just put his head down and he got to work anyway and got $100 million bag for black folks. Yeah. So I'm not trying to hear any of this anymore.
Yeah, and again, this is a thing. And Ice Cube and the three on the Big Three League, that's just growing. That continues to grow. But what did Ice Cube? What did he get for his coming out there and trying to do something with the black community? They blacklisted him when it comes to any political conversation, and then they came out with some competing league. And when I say they, I'm talking about some league adjacent to the NBA. They came out, and the NBA doesn't even like the Big Three. Let's have that conversation. But also, they came out with a competing league for I think it's for it's like a Big Three league just for women though, or something similar to the women, the 3LW or whatever. But they came out with a competing league, and Ice Cube has been a trendsetter, has created a league out of nowhere. And something like his league has lasted multiple seasons. Vince McMahon tried to resurrect the XFL, and the XFL folded again. And so people aren't giving Ice Cube his roses or his flowers, honestly, though, because when it comes to like who's been doing stuff for the black community, we know who those people are, but we allow these celebrities, these black celebrities, especially black men, because they've been running the gamut with the black men, trying to get black men to talk and talking down to black men for starters. They don't ever do this to. I haven't seen one person say this about white men or Mexicans or Asians. They haven't said nothing about men in any of those races, but you know who they always come back to? Black men. And again, he said that in a crowd full of white people at that.
That's why they laughed when Kevin Samuels died, because Kevin Samuels had the audacity to stand up for us, and he had the audacity to tell these black women that called into his show, talk to me like you talk to your white boss.
Exactly.
And by the way, if anybody tries to pull receipts on me, the Ice Cube $100 million contract, it was in Forbes magazine, and it was January 30th of 2022. Ice Cube wins a $100 million NFL pledge for contract with Black America. Yeah, Ice Cube is doing the work while the rest of these black celebrities are just talking.
Facts. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. It actually might be our final. All right, we're going to jump to why men fear marriage. This is from the Lapeef Network, and let's watch the video.
All marriages end in divorce, and men face significant financial, emotional, and societal pressures. Tonight, we ask, why are so many men avoiding marriage? Why are so many men avoiding marriage? We'll start with you, Trev. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear fear of marriage? What's your personal experience of you?
Okay. Well, my personal experience is not to be taken as reality, right? Because the data shows differently. So even though I understand and value marriage, I do understand that it is a scary thing, particularly in today's society. And I know you mentioned the financial risk is crazy, because that's your livelihood, that's your everything. And people say money isn't everything, but It damn near is, because it's going to determine, what kind of food you can eat, which will sustain your life longer. It's going to determine how safe your neighborhood is. It's going to determine how you retire, if you're going to be fine when you're older, if you have the resources to be able to take care of yourself during that retirement. And it's a scary thing to watch your assets go away, and then you have to change your life as a human being. And the court systems is what scares the hell out of people. That's what makes men not want to get married so much. And for me, I feel like I was extremely fortunate to find the woman that I did. So I'm still within that marriage. And some of us on the panel also share that experience. But again, it's not everyone's reality. It's extremely difficult to find a woman who is marriageable at this point, because humans in general are just now more self-centered. And one of the things you mentioned just now was people wanting to please their partner in every way. And not so many people are concerned about pleasing their partner. They're more worried about themselves.
Man, homie got a jug.
So this is going to be interesting. But let me kick it off. Full disclosure, I'm married. Been married 15 years. But I also counsel or counsel / mentor men who are close to me in age and or younger than me. So I'm presenting this from a male perspective. There's enough places out there where you can get female perspectives on this. Couple facts. This is going to hurt me to say this, but it's true, and you can go and verify this on blackdemographics.com, or you can go to ncbi.com, which is another research-based website. But we know that marriage rates are declining, period. But they're declining even more so for Black folks. In the least married segment of people are Asian men and Black women. So I don't want to get into the whys, because it's going to, I don't want to get into the gender war stuff. We have to talk about whys. And again, we're talking from the male perspective. I'm married. I'm happily married, but I'm wise enough to know that men value respect more than anything else. And the last topic conversation we just had proves that we're not getting it to the point where we're comfortable. If we feel a certain way about something, it tends to be discounted or gaslit or completely dismissed, especially in politics. We're telling you there's concerns. I promise I'm not going to go back to politics for very long. But we're telling you there's concerns with the party, and your response is, so what? Do it anyway. No. That's number one. Number two, we see how society is going. This is probably the most selfish society has ever been. It's all about individualities. There's no team building. It's me first. It's hot girl summer. I want to have my cake and eat it too. I believe there's a song out there. I forget who sings it. Girls as players too. A lot of chicks out here calling each other bro. A lot of chicks that think it's okay to hit a guy.
Brittany Griner said, call her Papa after the baby thing.
And quite frankly, we have a mental health pandemic. Gen Z is the most medicated generation ever. So I think all of those kind of factor in. I'm a gender roles guy. And this is my criticism for the men. And when I say I'm a gender roles guy, that means that I am the head of my house. And I'm not just saying that because my wife's not around. Even if you were to ask her, she would agree. But we also understand that I want all the smoke that comes with that title. That means me being head of the house and me being leader of the house. If something goes wrong and she's doing what she's supposed to do, then it's not her fault. It's my fault. Everything falls on me. And I'm perfectly fine with that. If the mortgages ain't paid and all of our expenses ain't taken care of, that's on me.
Yeah, you getting blamed anyways.
Yeah, she ain't got, and she understands that. So that's how this works. I'm the provider, I'm the protector, I'm the problem solver. She runs the house. She makes sure my daughter is good, and she, makes sure everybody's good and well taken care of, and
Mhm.
that works. Now, I understand a lot of people don't want to go back to that. I don't really know what to tell you, but I'll take it back to respect. A lot of men don't feel like women respect them, and they're not going to want to build anything with you long term if that's how they feel. And I'll stop there for now and turn it over to you, TR.
Yeah. Well, full disclosure, I'm not married, never been married. But there are some days where I'm like, man, maybe I can make this work. Maybe this is, what am I missing out on? And actually, funny thing, I have more friends that are married, close friends that are married than not married. And so I definitely see how you can make marriage work. And I'm talking about people that have been married for at least a decade plus, or really just a decade, and then 15, and then it goes to another decade. But the majority of people that are my close friends that I interact with, they've been in long-term relationships. Now I do know more people that are not married, and they're probably really cohabitating. But nowadays, when it comes to marriage, especially if we get to like a certain age range, even when I'm on dating apps, they're not looking to be married again or married at all, with women. And they're more or less looking for a partner. They specifically say looking for a partner. And now we get into that conversation about the whole partner talk, and do men want to be married? Like, look, if you want to be married, it's not that difficult. There are more men that want to be married than there are men that don't want to be. Like, men definitely want to be married. It's also like a great accomplishment. You build family, or you can be a stepdad. And crazy enough, there are men that want to be stepdads out there, but they know what happens when you are a stepdad, and or you're at least you're in the position of being a stepdad, and it goes south. I mean, that the woman's going to take the kid, and you lose access, helping that kid out. You're in that kid's life, and you're no longer in that kid's life. And so when it comes to like the whole marriage conversation, in the previous video they were right, where um the laws are set up, and you alluded to this earlier in the last segment. The laws are set up to where they're not favorable for men. And you might be onto something if Kamala would come out and say, like, hey, we're going to strike down these types of marriage laws, and we're going to make custody at 50% automatic off the bat. Like,
Should be.
you will see, you can got a chance to get the men back on board. But as we see what the party's doing real quick, is that it's moving more to a matriarchy control, and then men are expected to be go along with it, and if you don't go along with it, then you're automatically criticized. You're called misogynist. And I see that on dating apps too, because you say anything remotely, like, for the folks that are on dating apps, or maybe folks that have not been on dating apps, actually, really for the folks that haven't been on dating apps, they have multiple ways of flagging your account now, because they're like, when you go to remove someone and they'll ask you a question like, hey, do you want to remove this person because you're not interested, which is mainly the case. But then they have all these other questions. And I was like, wait, what other questions would there be? You're just not interested anymore. Nope. Did you feel threatened? Did this person say something on their profile? And don't put you're a conservative, or you put Trump on your dating profile. You'll get that flagged every single time. So enjoy that, because now it's at a point where things are pretty politicized. And from what I've seen is that some of the women out there, the liberal women out there, they want to date conservative men, but they won't date them because they like Trump. They're conservative, all because of a whole bunch of other stuff. And so that's also driving, politics is driving a wedge. I mean,
Not to cut you off, but I gotta tell you, one of my frat brothers, he's 24, I think. He said on the dating apps, he comes across profiles where the women will say, if you listen to Kevin Samuels, don't even bother talking to
yeah.
me. I just wanted to add that in there too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And now it's been thrown as a red flag. And it's like, are you on here to date or anything, or not? And this is the other thing too, like for the women out there, honestly, I would think If you and we're just going to talk about like the women that don't have a father for the kids' father's not in their life, or whatever happened to them. You would think when it comes to raising a boy into a man, and I know people like to think that, oh, a woman can do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could drive a car with my feet. Shout out to Chris Rock on that. But you don't do it. And this is the thing, is that when it comes to like a lot of men or women that when you get back on a dating market, you want to find someone that's going to gel with your kid, that's going to be a part of your life and be in your kid's life, not just walk out like that kid's father did, or if that kid's father passed away or whatever it was. But at least that kid, that person is in your father's life, and it takes a lot to really love someone else's kid that's not your kid. But from what I've seen and from my experience, they don't care about any of that stuff, because that's not like something like, hey, you're here for me, you're not here for my kid. But when we go out, I'm paying for your kid. When we go out, we do stuff with your kid. Your kid expects to, or I mean, not saying your kid expects, but it's expected I have a birthday gift. It's expected I have Christmas presents for your kid. It's expected for a lot of things. When I'm just going to like ignore your kid, like, no, I'm not going to do stuff like that. And I think, like I said, I think most men wouldn't mind being a stepdad, but at the end of the day, they know what happens if it goes south. And right now, the laws are, if you do become a stepdad, you get a divorce, she could put child support on you. It's possible to put child support on the father if the child support's not with a different father, but it's definitely out there. So if they were to get rid of the child support is a whole nother thing too, because if you miss payments or you're not up on that, you're gonna get roasted on that. So for a lot of men, they don't want to have kids, because they know what happens, like when things, if you don't follow the or if you don't stay with that woman, she has the weaponization of the state to send after you. So people can they can try to have this conversation or be delicate about it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the woman, the wife, the mother has the state backing her in pretty much multiple situations. Sometimes they will back the father, but the mother has to be a really POS. And I don't mean like just went to rehab. I mean they have to be like, tier 10 POS for the state to be like, okay, you're an unfit mother. And so that's a conversation that people don't want to have, and they refuse to have. And so politically, going back to Kamala, that is something that she can do, but she knows she'll alienate her whole base, which is sad though, because she's said multiple times she's here for all Americans. Well, this is something that would help America, help Americans out, and also, we get back to marriages, because when I want to say the rise. There's a conversation there about how when marriages started to decline, but at the end of the day, we're seeing less and less marriages. And so if you want to get America back on track, you got to go back to the marriage.
Real quick with the stepdad thing. So my position on that, look, if you step in and you do that, salute to you. That's a hell of a job. It's probably thankless at times. Salute to you for doing that. But also, if you are a man and you're wise enough to know that that's not the role for you, I'm not going to knock you for that either. At the end of the day, it's a personal decision that you have to make. Me personally, I don't want any other man raising my daughter. It's all gonna come from me. You're gonna be right here in this house with me. We're gonna build this family out, and we're gonna keep it moving.
That's the other issue too, is the other man, if the father is around.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I realize that right now marriage is not a fair deal for most men, because we're talking about it's a coin flip at this point. 50-50 chances want to end in divorce. We know that overwhelmingly they side with the woman, and I'm not just talking about the courtrooms. I'm talking about society in general. I mean, we're in the point now where they're having divorce parties for people.
Yes.
I'm not going to one, but I think celebrating the end of somebody's marriage is weird. But you have all these men who not only are you fighting with your ex, but now she didn't combine powers with the government to form Captain Planet, and now you got to fight the whole system.
Yeah.
I know too many guys that's going through that, but I do want to say this. I'm married. I'm happily married, and there are benefits to marriage. Married people tend to build wealth faster. You know, you got the standard when you get the tax breaks for that up to a certain income amount. They tend to live longer. There's implied contingencies for life insurance. You probably should have a will anyway, but if you don't, there are implied contingencies with your spouse if something happens to you, you know, especially with power of attorney and managing the finances and etc. And it's less of a sexual risk. I mean, if you out here playing the field, I mean, there's stuff out there you can get that can't be cured. And every time, and I do believe in soul ties. I think that everyone that you have a sexual experience with, you can't fully cleanse yourself with them. They're always going to be a part of you. That's just something I personally believe. I know that's not a popular theory, but there are benefits too. But the way the world is built right now, it's nobody seems to care about it. It only benefits women, especially when we know that the majority of them are the ones that file for divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cold game right now. So if you
Right.
are a man and you want to do it, you know, just make sure you asking the proper questions, man, and stop being so infatuated with looks.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at character a little bit closer. That stuff matters.
Yeah, I'll say one of the best conversations I've heard about this marriage conversation came from the lead attorney, and he told, and I know most men will be like, no, I would never do this, but he's on the mindset, and lead attorney, phenomenal content creator, and he's also he's been attorney for, he says this all the time. I should know it by heart, at least 15 years. But he went through his own marriage divorce as well too. But he said most men, what they should do is just talk to a divorce attorney, just so they can understand what you have to lose if this goes, you know, sideways, if she's not happy. And for a lot of men, they're always going to be the last to know that they're getting a divorce. Like
Yeah.
as soon as they find out that you know, divorce is, you know, on the table, or she said, hey, here's the paperwork, they're like, what? You're just blindsided. But she's already told a bunch of people. She's told her mama. She probably told the dog. She told the kids. She told everybody. I mean, she got her new dude lined up. He knows about it before you know about it. So yeah, people got to realize, or men have to realize, men have to start waking up, which, you know, men are starting to wake up though, but they still need to wake up a little bit faster though, because right now things are just tilted. Like if you get out of pocket or you say anything any borderline misogynistic, they're going to flag your account. You're going to get kicked off like dating platforms. And you say anything misogynistic on social media and anything, like, I mean, we're going to have to clean this up in the editing, but you know, you say anything related to stuff like that, you know, they're going to feel some type of way. So until things become a little more balanced, you know, I see marriages really declining. It's going to be, you know, set for a very small, you know, group of people. And, you know, there's going to be the people getting ahead, not people that are just, you know, regular people. And, you know, when it comes to marriages in the Black community, the numbers are bad for Black women. And I know a lot of Black women want to get married. The fact of the matter is there are not enough Black men that want to get married, unfortunately. So there's going to be a lot of people just left behind. So you're either going to have to find somebody else's husband, or you have to be okay being a sister wife, or, you know, side chick. I don't know what it's going to be, but I mean, until we can get to a point where men want to get married again, especially it hurts the Black community the most. So until we get to that point, I don't see this number changing. I see it just growing over time.
I will end with this. A lot of people focus too much on the ceremony and not the work that comes after, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of the problem with a lot of people in monogamous relationships, which is one of the tenets of marriage being monogamous, are lazy. And lazy monogamy it's like you let yourself go. And honestly, I just lost 30 pounds within the last year and a half. So I've been guilty of it too.
Heck of a
Point. But a lot of people in monogamous relationships get lazy. They stop dating each other. They stop having fun together. They stop having these deep conversations. You get fat and lazy, and you don't want to be, you're not even trying to be physically attractive. You don't want to do the stuff you did to win him or her. Like a lot of people in these monogamous relationships are lazy as hell. And don't even get me started on the amount of married men that I talk to who can't even get no cheeks from their wife, man. Like it's bad out here, man. Like this is all the stuff you kind of got to look at if you want to sustain a long-term relationship with anybody. It's good luck.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but some people have to find out the hard way and continue finding out. Like, hey, this. I wish someone had told me. There's plenty of videos, other content creators talking about this, so we're surely not the first ones, and we won't be the last ones talking about this. But for the folks out there, and especially the pro blacks, that's the one thing I've. And I can close with this too. With a lot of pro blacks, they ain't never married to a black woman, or they have a black woman. Dr. Umar, he ain't married to a black woman. I want to say, I think he might have 2 kids with 2 different women or something, but he's not married to a black woman. And Dr. Umar, every now and then, he has some good points on some topics. I'll give him that much credit. But outside of that, when it comes to like the black community, conversations, like a lot of folks, unless you're married, we got to start asking people, like, are you married? Are you married to a black woman? If you care about the community and growing the community, then you should be asking those questions of the people that are talking about these relationships. And if they're not talking about why you should get married, and Anton Daniel gets a lot of flack for this. Anton's married to a black woman, black kid, and he gets the most smoke about his marriage. It is ridiculous. And it's a bunch of shiftless, POS, black men going after Anton Daniels. And like, you probably got like 4 or 5 kids. Your baby mamas hate you. Your kids probably hate you. Like, let's have that conversation about going after people, not listening to the men in the communities that are married and with, again, if you're on the pro-black side, black woman and black kid, then you should be listening to them. But we're not elevating. That's the problem. We're not even elevating those voices. Those voices are, pretty much mute. So it's, for you are doing a great job by trying to mentor them in and, try to give them the game, and hopefully they can listen and, learn from it and avoid some of the pitfalls. But for some other men, they got to hit the pitfall, and they're going to turn a part of the conversation.
Absolutely. One more thing before we bounce. If you are thinking about getting married, or if you are in a long-term relationship and you want to take it to the next level, I really suggest you familiarize yourself. She's a psychotherapist. Her name is Esther Perel, and she studies monogamy extensively, particularly how to keep the fire lit within long-term monogamous relationships. She has a lot of TED Talks and different conversations on things that you can do to sustain a long-term relationship, because it seems like that's a lost art.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, everybody, that is going to wrap it up for episode 4. Hope you enjoy it. Like and subscribe. MC, got any parting words?
Nah, everybody just keep being great. Be better than you were yesterday.
All right. Adios.
Peace.